All right, guys, so I'm finally able to get out on the water, and I'm finally able to do the cast test video of the new Piscifun Alloy M2. And I know a lot of you guys have been waiting on this, but I just want to say that before we start, Piscifun was generous enough to provide a code that you can use when you get your Alloy M2, and that's going to be pinned at the top of the comment section along with the link to where you can purchase your reel. And it's also going to be in the description. So let's get started. Now on Piscifun's website, they made a bold statement, and they said that the new Alloy M2 casts a whopping 18% farther than the old Alloy M. So that means if you can cast the lure 100 feet with the old reel, with the new reel, you should be able to cast at least 118 feet. So that's a lot. Now, unfortunately, I did not bring out the old Alloy M to test this claim. I'm sure it's going to be irrelevant, as I don't know if the old Alloy M is still going to be for sale anymore. But if you watch the unboxing video, you'll know that Piscifun has made all the correct changes to actually make this casting performance increase possible. So let's just go over them real quick. Now, the first thing they did was they made the spool bigger. It went from 32 millimeters to 34. Second of all, they reduced the weight of the spool from like 13.2 grams to like just under 10 grams. And lastly, they gave us a dynamic magnetic brake system, and all this for just $89. So enough babbling, let's get to casting. All right, so I'm really only gonna cast 2 lures. Now the first lure is gonna be my favorite topwater. It's gonna be the Lucky Craft Gunfish. I believe this is a 95, weighs about 3/8 of an ounce, maybe a little bit more. And then I'm gonna cast a lipless crankbait, and we're gonna see if we can do some cast measurements. But first, of course, I'm gonna get a feel for the casting with the gunfish. But that means we have to set the reel up. Now, while I'm setting the reel up to just minimize side-to-side play on the spool, I am using a 6'6" Chinese Mojo bass rod. That's medium power, I would say, and 10-pound mono, pretty much the standard tackle I use with a lot of other casting impressions videos. And I have dialed in spool tension to have just a hair, just a gnat's hair of side-to-side play. And I'm gonna start with the brakes on 10. Now, there was a subscriber that left a comment about him being, I guess, new to baitcasters, and he was wondering if this Alloy M2 would be a good reel. Well, let's find out. So the brakes are maxed out, and this is a perfect day to do a test because the wind is on and off. But here we go, first cast. Oh, with the Alloy M. All right. Okay, went a lot farther than I thought it would. With just an easy sidearm cast. Bam, we're hitting 30 yards already. All right, let's go out this way. Oh boy, pow. That was almost near 40-yard cast, and we are on max braking. Observation, this is a very quiet and smooth casting reel. I do feel a little bit of humming. It's probably the line going through the line guide, but so far, easy distance on max brake. Look at that. Hopefully you guys are seeing where this lure is landing. I'm turned this way because I don't want the sun to be right in the camera. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna try to cast thumb free. That means no thumb even when the lure hits the water. All right, there we go. Now we did have some wind to our back. That kind of helps with the thumb free casting on this spool tension setting. So now I'm gonna turn around and we're gonna cast directly into the wind. Here we go. Oh, there we go. So if the wind is to your back, you could probably cast thumb free, but for a beginner, I would probably tighten up that spool tension until you get the, I guess, timing of your thumb down pat, and get your cast stroke down pat as well. But the backlash was not that bad. Here we go, casting into the wind. No overruns. Let's do an overhead into this direct headwind. Just maybe 1 or 2 loops. Everything else was perfect. So for a beginner, yes, I would definitely consider buying this as a first bait caster, because I have a feeling as you get better with bait casting, you can actually grow with this reel, meaning its limits are probably high enough and you won't need another reel for better casting performance. Pow. All right, so this is into a direct headwind. All right, let's do another overhead. Oh. So not only is the Alloy M2 a very smooth and quiet caster, it is also a very free casting reel, meaning the spool feels very fast. Oh. And it doesn't have that parachute effect that you get with a lot of magnetic brake reels at the tail end of the cast, where the distance just falls off. It feels more like a centrifugal brake reel. And that means you can do low trajectory casts with good distance like this. See, with a lot of magnetic brake reels, with have like mag track systems or a lot of DAIWA SV air brake reels, low trajectory casts are a difficult proposition for distance because of how over brake they are. But all right, it is time to start backing these brakes down. Oh, and we can find the limit. And one thing I can tell you now is that the Alloy M2 is definitely not over braked. Definitely not over braked. And cranking in this top water bait, it is very smooth. The knobs are extremely soft. But all right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, off camera, dial the brakes down as low as it'll go. And then I'll show you what the Alloy M2 can do. All right, well, it didn't take too long for me to find the limit, at least with this lure. I dialed the brakes down to in between 8 and 9. Now keep in mind there's 2 clicks in between the numbers. And with this lure in these conditions, there's a little bit of overrun briefly, but let me show you what the Alloy M can do. Boom. Probably close to a 50-yard cast. Hopefully you guys saw where that landed. I know the water is kind of choppy. I'm gonna try to cast into that dark spot. Pow! And the thing is, you don't really have to put that much effort into these casts to get these long distances. So a 3/8 ounce-ish gunfish, even though this is a great casting lure, we're hitting close to 50 yards. Look at that. That was a line drive cast, but I am very impressed with the casting of the Alloy M2. Not just the distance, but just the overall experience. Very quiet, very smooth, really fast feeling spool. All right, let's go out this way. Boom. Makes me think I can go down one more click on the brakes. Let's do that. So we're gonna go down 1 click. Doubt the distance will go up by that much, but we're here to find the limits. Oh! And we indeed found the limit. So I should not have went down that 1 click, but that's how you find the limits of your baitcaster. You have to test them. Now, also, when I'm, burning this lure in, the build quality is solid. I don't hear any kind of clackety, rickety noises, no loose tolerances. I just hear the line going through the guides. Boom! Look at that. I'm thinking the Alloy M will also excel with light lures. In fact, change of plan. Let me see if I have a lightweight lure in my car, and we'll see what the M2 can do. All right, guys, so we're in luck. The only lure I had in the car that would be considered bait finesse is this Rapala Ultralight Minnow number 4. With the snap swivel, you're looking at 3.5 grams or 1/8 of an ounce. So definitely bait finesse territory, but this is definitely not a bait finesse rod, and this is definitely not bait finesse line. But let's see what the Alloy M2 can do. I have a strange wind situation here. I can definitely feel it, but the water is calm right there. But I'm just gonna send it. Here we go. Brakes are the same. Pow. So with a very, very cautious sidearm cast, whoo, had some overrun there. Turn the brakes up 1 click with a very, very cautious sidearm cast. We're getting close to 20 yards, I would say. Maybe like 50, 55 feet on these casts. And this is with a full spool of line. All right, I'm not casting with like a half-filled spool like what I would normally do if I was to test this reel for bait finesse. So I'm confident that stick this M2 on a true BFS rod, some true BFS line, it will probably bait finesse very, very easily. That's due to the lightweight spool, even though the spool is bigger. All right, 1 more cast. And also I attribute this to the fact that it's such a free casting reel. All right. The brakes don't hinder the spool from spinning at the startup. But anyway, now let's tie on a lipless crankbait and let's get some measurements. All right, so it's time to get some cast measurements. And we're using the Rapala Snare 50. I think it weighs a little bit over 1/2 of an ounce. So it's a little bit heavier than the Gunfish. It's also more dense and compact. So I was actually able to go down on the brakes like 2 or 3 clicks. And I want you guys to leave in the comment section after every cast, before I measure it, tell me how far you think it went. And we'll do 5 casts. Here we go. Pow. All right, hopefully you guys saw that. Reeled in as much slack as I could. Hopefully I won't get snagged. Well, the line counter is not wanting to work. Looks like I won't be getting any cast measurements because this cheap Berkeley line counter crapped out, and looks like I am snagged. Oh no, I got it. I got it out. Okay, so even though the line counter is broken, apparently, I'm still gonna do some casts for you guys, just to let you see just how far the Alloy M2 can bomb this lure out. All right, here we go. Pow. I'm gonna see if I can get this line counter to work because I'm curious. That's gotta be approaching 50 yards, if not more. Nope, it is broken. Guess I'm gonna have to order a new one. So it looks like, fellas, this new Alloy M2 pow. Good Lord, I wish I could measure that one. That's well beyond 50 yards. But it looks like this $89 aluminum framed dynamic braked Alloy M2, just from my memory of casting dozens of other reels. When it comes to casting performance, this thing will chew up a lot of reels that are way more expensive and hang with reels that are way more expensive. Oh, bad cast on my part. Still went out there about 50 yards. And that's just always been how Piscifun has operated ever since I've started working with them way back almost 10 years ago when I first started my channel. For as little money as their reels cost, they just give you so much reel. Boom. And especially in today's age of, once again, tackle companies raising the prices of their reels continuously. It's not just one time, it's multiple times, to where the average angler can't afford a reel that they could have afforded a couple of years ago. So if I only had a budget of under 100 bucks, knowing that this Alloy M2 is out there, this would definitely be my pick. All right, we'll do one more cast. Boom. So once again, fellas, there's gonna be a code as well as a link pinned at the top of the comment section that you can use when you get your Alloy M2. I mean, at this price, you can get multiple reels for the cost of, let's say, one TATULA SV. Now, hopefully Piscifun will give us more gear ratios, something a little bit higher, maybe a little bit slower as well. But there we go, the casting test video of the new Alloy M2. I'm gonna do just one more because it's just such a fun reel to cast. Pow! One of the longest casts of the day. All right, guys, thanks a lot.